Brighton 3, Chelsea 0, and for the second time in 6 days, Brighton have beaten Chelsea, the FA Cup, and now beaten them, embarrassing them in the league. And you thought there would be a reaction, but nothing. And I've already made a video criticising this ownership, criticising the sporting directors, but this time, I'm not going to do that. We all know the sporting directors and the ownership are to blame for this mess. We all know that. At the start of the season, we knew a dip in form was coming, but this seems bigger than just a dip in form. Now, what we've seen on that football pitch is completely unacceptable for Chelsea Football Club. Despite what's going on with the ownership and the sporting directors and misprofiling players, this loss, Enzo Maresca and the players need to take accountability. I want to start by saying on record that I think the problem is deeper than just Enzo Maresca and the players. However, that performance is completely unacceptable. The ownership and the sporting directors, they set the precedent for how the team's going to play out. The misprofiling of players, the lack of direction, the lack of identity from the owners, from the sporting directors are to blame in this situation. And I've made a video on that. So I don't want to speak about that today because I will just get annoyed. So go and watch that video if you want to see us criticising them. I want to speak about this performance against Brighton. If any of you guys have watched my videos over this season, you'll know that I've been saying that this was going to come. A form like this was going to come, and fans can't be reactionary. But what am I sitting here doing? Being reactionary, because this is not one game. This is performances over 2 months that have let us down. Now, we were conceding far too many goals at the beginning of the season. And when our goals dry up, this is what we're getting. Because at the beginning of the season, we were outscoring teams. Now, we're not even scoring. We're not even getting a shot on target. And that 11 on that football pitch has better quality than what we've seen. There was a lack of identity, a lack of ideas, a lack of application. Application in the Premier League. That's disgusting. We've got losers mentality. We've got no energy, no urgency. The players look disinterested. I can't accept that. I can accept the bad performance when things just don't click. That happens at times. Absolutely, you can accept that. I can accept a mistake every so often. But when there's a lack of application from the players, that's unacceptable. Now, I do want to speak about Enzo Maresca for a second. I like Enzo Maresca. I really, really like Enzo Maresca, but that doesn't make him above any criticism. Now, when in December, we were 3 points away, if we won at Everton, going top of the league. Now, Enzo Maresca come out and said, we're not ready to win the title. And I thought, and I agreed with him. He did the right thing there, saying we weren't ready to win the title because we are absolutely not ready to win this Premier League. We'll concede too many goals. We'll look weak in defensive transitions, and at times we'll look bereft of ideas. Now, what I can't accept, and I won't accept, and you can have a go at as much as you like, is Enzo Maresca coming out and saying we're not good enough to achieve Champions League football. It's absolutely fundamental that Chelsea qualify for Champions League football. It's crucial. Chelsea cannot miss Champions League football, and having that defeatist mentality rubs off on the players. Whether he's saying something different to the players in-house, that's a different story. But saying it to the press will rub off on the players. They'll begin to think that this performance is acceptable. Not achieving UEFA Champions League this season is acceptable, but achieving it next season is unacceptable. That's not right. You want to achieve it every single season. So that's one thing I dislike about Enzo Maresca. But is there any coaching happening? Because I see no chemistry between these players. I see no patterns of play, no triggers, no fluidity, no shape, no organization skills. Players playing as individuals rather than a team. Now, what I mean by patterns of plays and triggers, when Moses Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez receives the ball in the central areas, he instinctively should know where everyone's going to be positioned. He instinctively should know what everyone's going to do, whether that be coming short to make space to drive in behind, or who's going to come in short and who's going to run in behind. We had nobody running in behind yesterday, and that's why we were so passive in possession. So passive. We had 60% possession without creating a shot on target. That is disgusting. It seems like to me, when I watch Chelsea, yes, he's got his inverting fullback and he's just dying on that sword. And what I mean by that is he's only teaching them step one to invert, and then he just lets them play freely. No, you need a step 2, step 3, and step 4. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So look at this tactics board here. Maresca wants, in simplistic terms, I say this all the time, to defend with 5, attack with 5. He's got his box shape in the middle here. So when we're playing out the back, right, there's no triggers. What I mean by triggers is when Caicedo or Cucurella, or if that's Enzo Fernandez in there and Cucurella's up there, whatever. Doesn't matter about the player profiles. I'm just talking about the tactics here. When Enzo Fernandez receives the ball here, that should be a trigger point for exactly what he's going to do, and exactly what he's going to do. Whether that be Cole Palmer dropping in to bring him with him to make room for Christopher Nkunku to run in behind. Whether it's the other way around, Christopher Nkunku dropping in here, bringing this defender with him to open space for Palmer to come round. Or you could even do the double movement, whether that be Christopher Nkunku coming in there, but also spinning in into the space he's just created. Then he should have about 4 options. Should have Sancho, whether he plays a pass into Cucurella, spinning in behind, or Cole Palmer, or switching the play. But there's nothing. Everybody is just coming to show for the ball here. And it's so easy for them to defend against when everyone's just coming in short. Chelsea have become a team that want to look good. The players just want to receive the ball and pop it off, receive the ball and pop it off. Nobody's taking any risks. Nobody's looking to be dynamic or direct or be brave in possession or commit bodies forward. It's just, oh, let us look good in possession. I'll receive the ball to feet and just play a 5-yard pass. We're so passive, lack of ideas. And this is why we're not creating any chances, because we've got zero amount of movement, zero amount of aggression, or zero amount of bravery in possession. This is why we need somebody like Nicholas Jackson. You can criticize Nicholas Jackson all you want for the amount of chances he misses, and I agree with that, but at least he gives us something off the ball. We've got absolutely nothing. Playing Christopher Nkunku as a striker, I don't even know where to start. I'm getting annoyed and I don't want to get annoyed. I just want to talk about the football, but it's annoying us. So I want to talk about a few more things, and that is the wrong profile in the players. Now, this is on the Sporting Direct, but there's nothing we can do about it now. Enzo Maresca needs to find a solution, and if anybody wants to see a solution, I made a match preview and I put out an idea for Enzo Maresca, which I do think would suit this team a lot better. Pedro Neto made the most crosses in the Premier League last season, despite the injuries and missing of games. So that goes to show that he works well when there's a box presence. He works well when there's a player with instinctive and good anticipation in the box, because his natural game is to deliver crosses. Why we're spending 60 million on Pedro Neto when we don't have that profile of centre forward? If you're going to bring in Pedro Neto, you need to bring in somebody that's got that instinctive nature inside the box. Nicholas Jackson doesn't have it. Christopher Nkunku doesn't have it. Cole Palmer doesn't really have it. So we've got nobody. Pedro Neto can't play his natural game because he's got nobody that will complement his natural game. And this is what I always talk about. Profiles and partnerships create a successful team. Pedro Neto is failing to build partnerships with anybody because he hasn't got the right profile next to him. It's shambolic recruitment. Now, another wrong profile in a player is Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho is not a touchline winger. He hasn't got the dynamism or directness or athleticism to be a touchline winger. And this is what I'm talking about. Jadon Sancho needs an overlapping fullback or centre midfielders that will curve their run around him, because Jadon Sancho is not very good when he's isolated. All teams need to do when they come up against Jadon Sancho is double up on him, have their right back and probably one of their centre midfielders or right winger just doubling up on Jadon Sancho, because he doesn't have the athleticism to get around. He doesn't have the pace. He doesn't have the directness to get around. What Jadon Sancho needs is an overlapping or an underlapping fullback, because what that's going to do is create space for Jadon Sancho to build up connections with your striker. And this is exactly what I mean. See if Jadon Sancho's got the ball there and there's a fullback and a right winger doubling up on him. If you get an overlapping fullback, that's going to pull him naturally over there. What will that do? Open up the space for Jadon Sancho to drive into. And Jadon Sancho is a connections player. He needs bodies to bounce off. This is what Dortmund were very good. This is how Dortmund brought the best out of Jadon Sancho, because he had that striker profile that he could bounce off. He had that overlapping fullback to drag the right back away. He had Jude Bellingham coming in these areas where to facilitate and help him build a play, because he doesn't have the athleticism or the pace to beat anybody continuously. So what that does is it opens up space. So now Jadon Sancho has options. If your fullback's overlapping, he can play him in like that, and then the fullback creates a one-on-one situation. Or he can use that as a decoy and then drive inside himself. And this is where Jadon Sancho's at his most threatening. This is where you get the best out of Jadon Sancho, because you can create 1-2 combinations to get in on goal, or you can slip Christopher Nkunku or Cole Palmer in on goal. That's how you get the best out of Jadon Sancho, and I'm not seeing that at all. So you need to adapt your tactics to get the best out of your players, and having overlapping fullbacks will complement Cucurella, but it will also complement the likes of Jadon Sancho, Noni Madueke, like Christopher Nkunku, who is also a striker that doesn't work well by himself. He needs bodies around him, people pulling defenders away to create space for him to do his thing. I just can't believe a Premier League manager can't see this. And we all know Enzo Maresca wants to play with inverted fullbacks. That's fine. That's fine. But you can't play inverted fullbacks without any channel runners. If you're playing with an inverted fullbacks, you've got to tell Cole Palmer to run the channels. You've got to tell Christopher Nkunku to run the channels. Now, the players need to take accountability for this as well, because the staticness of our players is absolutely diabolical. I see nobody wanting to get in behind. It was so easy for the Brighton defenders, who will also complement your strikers, but you can't gaslight me into thinking this team is not better than what we've seen last night or for the past 2 months. Now, this isn't just all about the offensive display. Our defending in transition moments is a joke. Absolute joke. Levi Colwill flopping to the floor, moaning about and whinging about everything. And then you've got Chalobah not engaging with Mitoma. Mitoma's touch was absolutely glorious. Fair play to him. It was a terrific goal. But he should not have that much time, that much space at all. He made it look so easy. It looked like Chalobah didn't want to engage. On his first touch, you have to engage. You've got to use your body. You're stronger than Mitoma. Muscle him out the way. Do something to put him off his stride. Because as soon as you engage or build contact with Mitoma, he doesn't score that goal. So I want to reiterate, the sporting directors, the ownership are first to blame here. I'm not saying Enzo Maresca should get sacked, because even if Enzo Maresca still gets sacked, the problems remain. So it's not about sacking Enzo Maresca. I want Enzo Maresca to succeed. I really do. I'm Italian. He's Italian. We've got Italian blood. Chelsea are synonymous with Italian managers. So I really want Enzo Maresca to succeed. Now, he can't succeed unless he's given the tools to succeed with. But we're kind of changing that at the moment. So Enzo Maresca needs to take it upon himself to try and find ideas. And it just blows my mind that he's doing the same thing over and over, and it's clearly not working. You know what? I'm just going to cut it there. I want to know your thoughts, because I don't know if it's me just going crazy, expecting much more, but these players are much better than what we're seeing. Once you stop blaming that ownership, they think they'll get a free pass. We need to see more on that football pitch. We need to see more endeavour. But look, I want to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, up the Chelsea.